Hi everyone, welcome to my Thursday night Facebook Live. And a couple of weeks ago, I announced that I was going to do a series of Facebook Lives about the presuppositions of what I call NLP 2.0. And we did the first one of those. We got some great feedback about that. We had a lot of people that were really interested in NLP 2.0, these additional presuppositions. So I decided that I wanted to change the format around to make it really a lot more applicable for you. So you can actually apply these presuppositions of NLP 2.0 not only in your life, but particularly in your business or your career. So different format, because I'm joined here with Peter Burnett. And we're doing some work together around integrating NLP, particularly in entrepreneurial businesses. So I've asked him to join me for these. There are 12 presuppositions of NLP 2.0. And so what we're going to do each week is we're going to cover 3 of them. So this will be the Facebook Lives for the next month. And I'm going to cover each of these 3 presuppositions. And then Pete's going to come in with some particular business takes on what those presuppositions actually mean in action. And then right at the end of this Facebook Live, we'll be announcing and making available to you a free webinar, which is around the application of these presuppositions. So a little bit of history around how this all came about. I was starting to hear some things, people saying some things about NLP, which I didn't really like. In fact, they kind of like upset me really, because, you know, NLP and timeline therapy and hypnosis, when I first learned it way back in 1993, really enabled me to completely change my life and transform my life. So then when I was hearing people saying that NLP doesn't work or NLP is rubbish, you know, that's very, very contrary to my experience, the experiences that my one-on-one clients have, but also the experiences that delegates attending my certification trainings and seminars have. So I started wondering, what was I doing differently? What was my different thinking than other people that enabled me to get these results that other people weren't? And I started to realize I was operating from an additional set of presuppositions than those in traditional NLP. So, you know, NLP was a model of success created right early in the early 70s, but then became a model of success for the 80s and early 90s. Well, it's 2019 now, and, you know, the world is a different place. And, you know, if we were to create a model of success in 2019, it would be different than a model of success from the 80s and 90s. 2 particular things, you know, Yahoo Business interviewed 10 of the most successful entrepreneurs in the US and asked them what kind of key factors they put their success down to. And all of them said that part of their success was down to some kind of daily mindfulness practice, whether that be formal meditation or whether it just be like communing with nature on a daily basis. So if we were to create a model of success today, 2019, it would have some form of meditation in it, which we get from integrating Huna. Also, if you were to look at what people were searching for in the personal development space, for instance, like on Google, then the thing 5 years ago was money and wealth. People were going, how do I get more money? How do I get more wealth? Today, that's changed. Because today, the thing that people are searching for more than money and wealth in the personal development space is energy. How do I get more energy? It's almost like the world, the consciousness, if you like, of the planet is chunked up. And people have gone, the more energy I've got, the more money I can make. The more energy I've got, the more wealth I can have. But equally, you know, the more energy you've got, the better your health is going to be, the better your well-being is going to be. The more energy you've got, the better your relationships are going to be. So if we were, again, to create a model of success in 2019, then what we would have is it would actually definitely contain the concept of energy now. So these things are integrated into the new presuppositions of NLP 2.0. So presuppositions are convenient beliefs. Now, we're not saying that they're true. And if we act as if they're true, we get better results for ourselves, and we also get better results for our clients that we're working with in whatever business we're in, whether we're in consulting, whether we're in coaching, or whether we're in therapy. So the first presupposition of NLP 2.0 came about because I was hearing is a model except medicine. Medicine is real. Now, from my perspective and from my original training in NLP started in 1993, it was everything is a model, which means there's no right and wrong, there's no good or bad, there's no just or unjust, there's no true and not true, there's just models. And the important thing to start to develop is your ability to be able to hold multiple models in your mind at the same time. Even if some of those models are actually diametrically opposed to each other, and be able to hold them in your mind and be balanced rather than being in conflict. So you're balanced with these multiple models in your mind. So that then you can go, okay, for the current situation, for the current context, which of the multiple models is actually going to be the most functional? Which of these models is actually going to enable me to get the biggest result in the least amount of time with the least expenditure of energy? This requires an increase in the flexibility of your thinking. Yeah. So first presupposition is everything is a model. So Pete, welcome to the to our weekly Facebook, and it's great to have you here. Peter and I have been working a lot over the last, probably almost a year, I would have thought, isn't it? Or even more than that now.
Yes. No, I think we're about to come up to our first anniversary.
Yeah, first anniversary, yes. Congratulations. So what's your kind of like take on that from your model of the world on everything as a model?
The first thing that occurs to me is I'm really glad that we're living in the age that we do, because more and more we as people are actually able to choose our own beliefs. If you look throughout history, beliefs were kind of given to you, depending on where you were in a social strata or, kind of what your role in society was. They said, this is what you believe, whether that be a religion or philosophy or kind of like your own self-worth. Whereas these days, I think people are far more empowered to actually say, I'm going to choose what I believe because I'm going to choose the stuff that serves me. I don't know about you, but I always feel that there's like a committee that lives inside my head. I don't suppose the only person who can handles all of the voices that they hear in that sort of way. But I mean, as we grow up, we realize that, there are multiple personas within us. And then, you've got, different personas are different in the right sort of way. And for me, one of the great things about getting slightly older is you become chairman of the board. And then you then get to say, which persona is going to serve me in this situation? Which of my facets, which side of my personality is going to work well for me? So, I mean, that's kind of my answer from a humanistic point of view. I mean, but definitely from a business point of view, because one of the things that we work with a lot is blueprints. Because a lot of people, when they go into business, they'll try to reinvent everything from scratch. And you say, you don't really need to do that because a lot of thinking has already gone into this. I mean, we've said this in some of the other webinars that we've been a part of, but, if you have to climb a mountain, start as close to the summit as possible. And so if you then think that like everything is a model, so like a business, if you like, is almost like a model of an engine in terms of it combines products and it combines customers. And the aim is that you then get to profitably serve. So your customers are glad that they came along and they're glad they're interacted with you and they're glad, kind of for the service that you have given with them. But if you then look at how you actually create that within your business in terms of, kind of emails or reaching out or, kind of webinars or podcasts or almost anything that you want to do has been done really well lots and lots of times in the past. And so what we do is we take that as a model and we say, this works. And the reason why it's a blueprint rather than an instruction manual is because it's like, you're going to tailor it for you. But, and it's like with any belief, it's like, the Chinese have a wonderful approach to this sort of thing. They say that, their beliefs are a bit like dim sum. They take what they want and then they leave the rest. And I think that's the beauty here, is that we now live in an age where you can actually say, I'm going to have that and that and that. I'm going to incorporate them either within me, if it's a personal thing, or within my business, and then I'm going to leave the rest. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a powerful way to work.
So it sounds almost to me like plug and play.
It is. I don't almost say it's plug, tweak, and play. Yeah. So you take it, and it's like, it's almost like, when you buy like clothes, or, if you've ever been like done any sort of military service, they will give you a uniform and it won't fit. It's the size that they have of uniforms is guaranteed to not fit anybody at all. What you do is you take it and you tailor it slightly, and then it fits perfectly. But the lovely thing about it is you're already starting with something that is really, really good. So the tweaks that you make, so if you're going to spend time on something, spend time making good better rather than starting from scratch, I guess.
Right. And again, the model thing from an NLP point of view is that in NLP, we're always looking at structure and process rather than content. So it sounds to me like that these blueprints, like a blueprint for an effective sales email, a blueprint for an effective webinar or Facebook Live or whatever it may be, is the context and the structure. And then what each individual person brings to it is their content.
That's right, because when you take away the requirement for the brain to actually work out what I'm doing, then that's when your creativity flows. So all of the thinking in terms of, kind of like, what are we doing here? What are we doing there? When all of that is taken away, the only thing that your brain has to do is allow itself to be brilliant.
Right.
Because all the rest of the work, all of that thinking has been done. So your brain says, well, I want to add my type of thing to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it amazing. Yeah. And so that then allows you to unlock so much energy and creativity. So you get so much more done. So you get it done better, you get it done faster. And also the other thing about blueprints is because they've got inherent lessons learned, because the reason why the blueprint is the way it is, because, kind of like we've tried it that way and it didn't work. So now we do it this way. Right. If you start with the blueprint, there's already so many lessons that you didn't learn yourself that you are already employing. They say it's like, a smart man is somebody who learns from their mistake. A genius is someone who learns from someone else's. So, and that's what you get when when you work with blueprints in that way.
Right, because this is another thing that I heard somebody say about NLP recently, was that another name for NLP could be trial and error. And I'm going, what's the use in that? I had trial and error anyway. No.
It is. I mean,
another way to have trial and error. So, with the blueprints that you're talking about, it kind of like removes a lot of the trial and error, because you go, look, we tried that, it didn't work. We tried that, didn't work. We tried that, didn't work. Tried this, it worked. So let's do lots of that and ignore the first three.
That's right. It gives you a structure within to work. It gives you like the basis. It's like a dance. You learn to dance and then you start doing all your own movements on the top. But the fact that you actually had that basis, that framework to start from, means that you get good a lot faster.
Right. A bit like modern jazz.
Yes.
Structure, and then you improvise around a theme.
Yes. You play all the missing notes, I believe.
So then the second presupposition of NLP 2.0 is there is only now. So, this is from an NLP point of view, think of this. So, if I said to you as an example, my life right now is a mess because of this thing that happened when I was 7, that isn't true, because I'm not 7, I'm 56. Yeah. So my problem now is the way that I represent the memory of this thing that happened when I was 7. Now, in this current day, because even if I think of this event when I was 7, I'm thinking about the event when I was 7 now. If I'm setting a goal for, let's say, in 2020, I'm not in 2020. I'm projecting my mind to 2020 now. So the only thing that we can actually experience is now. You know, I'm going to show my age now, but when I was a kid, one of my favorite programs was the Kung Fu series with David Carradine.
Ah, yes, Grasshopper.
There was that heat haze, you know, in the desert, and this bald guy comes out of the heat haze, and the voiceover says, "Here is a man with no past and no future." And you think, what the fuck does that mean? Well, in actual fact, it's true. We don't have a past; it's gone. We don't have a future; it hasn't happened yet. What we've got, our entire life, is a series of nows. Yeah. So that's our second presupposition. What's your take on that one, Pete?
I think one of the most important things that people need to be able to do is to almost say live one day at a time. And there's something that we have called the golden ladder, which is, if you imagine that, you know, kind of like the way that your life is structured, it could be your life or it could be your business, but you have like a vision, which is, this is kind of like what I believe, you know, this is the way that I see the universe. And then there are various missions that come out of that, which is, you know, I might, for instance, I want to achieve some sort of change, or there's something which is important to me. My missions are then what I do about that. And then in the middle, you've then got your objectives, and the objectives are where you then start to make things real, because you start to apply numbers and targets to stuff. You know, there's a saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And the amount of people that I worked with, whereby as soon as you actually then say, oh, I want to do this, and you say, how much and how soon? And they go, well, this and this. Suddenly a little switch opens in their brain, and it starts to become real for them. They move forward. And then underneath your objectives, you've then got your projects, which is, what are we doing about that objective? And then you've got your actions. Now, that's obviously quite a lot to deal with. And what a lot of people don't get right is they try to deal with everything all at once. So it's like they try to fight all the battles in their life in one day. And so it's really important that you have something that says, what do you need to do now? Because as you say, you can't do something yesterday and you can't do something tomorrow. So it's all about saying, of all of the things which I'm doing, how do I very, very quickly chunk down and focus on what now is? And the other thing is, you know, because I come from like a background, you know, obviously in business and like running projects and working out how that all works. And the agile approach is one that I really like. And the reason why is because it says you keep on stopping and saying, actually, what is important to me right now? Because a lot of people, they say, I think I'm going to do that, and then they'll stick to it. And even if the reasons for it have become invalid, they'll still kind of like plow on with that. So it is about managing now, and it is about saying, what is important that you need to do? And how do you then create systems in your life that allow you to focus solely on what you need to be doing now? Because you obviously need to live in the moment. Yes, it's, you know, the perfect state. It's like mind like water. You know exactly what you need to do because you've managed to translate and distill all of this big thinking down to the actions that you need to do. And once you do that, again, you don't have like lots of mental chatter in your head that says, oh, what about this? Or what about this? What about this? Because you know that the thing that you're doing now is the thing that you should be doing now. And a lot of people live their lives going, you know, whenever they're doing something, there's a little voice in the back of their brain that says, we should be doing something else. And you turn around to that voice and say, and what is that? And they go, I don't know, but we should be doing something else. So the ability to actually not only live in the now, but know what's important for now. What is the, you know, what are the most important things that you can do to take your life or your business forward right now? That is the mark of the great ones. If you can do that, you are way ahead of the rest of the curve.
Right. And that sounds like for me, you know, with my NLP hat on, that sounds like a real tangible application of this thing in NLP, which is called the hierarchy of ideas, which is going from very global thinking, which is you refer to as vision, and then progressively taking it down the logical levels to actually then get it to tangible physical action. And it's interesting because the whole process of goal setting and goal achievement is the process of chunking down.
It is.
It's the process of going from right up here at the global all the way down to physical action, which takes the mental constructs and actually makes them physical. So,
it is. I mean, and the thing is, because if you there are three types of people, and there's obviously lots, but there's three types of people generally speaking. So you've got what we call the achievers, and they're the people who are able to make their dream reach the ground. So they've got a good idea, they've got like some sort of worthy cause or some sort of outcome that they really want, that they're passionate about, that they believe in, and they also know what they're doing today about that. And then when that doesn't work, you see it break down, because you either see people whose ladder doesn't reach all the way to the ground, and we've all been that sort of person. So when I give these people names, it's not meant to be, pejorative. It's just an observation. But that's when you're in dreamer mode, if you like. So that says, you've got your vision, you've got your big idea, but you're not really doing anything about it because no action is being taken. And so that means you're not going to work. And then the other way of doing it is you then got what we call the busy fool, which is when you're running around, there's lots of action happening, but it's not really linked to something. And that then means that, you don't have any, it's like a kite with no string. You're just literally all over the sky because, the vision is what keeps you going, is what keeps everybody united and on track and on purpose. And it's what helps people around you say, those people are going somewhere, I want to be part of that. And so it's only when you have every stage of the golden ladder in place that you really start to, be able to take a worthwhile idea and make it happen, rather than just have a project which you've always wanted to do and never done anything about, or you are exhausting yourself and burning yourself out because you haven't attached it to something bigger than yourself.
Right. Yeah. So our third presupposition of NLP 2.0 is the problem is never outside of you. It's always inside of you. So I'm just going to share something with you on the screen so I can explain what I mean by that. So Peter and I are going to probably disappear off into one of the corners of your screen.
There we are.
Here we are.
Yes.
Are we still there? Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad I came out on top. So here's what we call the NLP Communications Model. And on the right-hand side of that diagram, we've got what we call the external event. And that's all of the information that's streaming in to our, is that still being displayed there? I think it is.
Yeah, we're all good.
And so that's all of the information that's streaming in through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, through sense of touch, smell, and taste. And current estimates is that we're receiving something like 12 million bits of information every single second of the day, whether we're awake or asleep. And let's just put that into perspective. That's my iPhone. It's a 64 gigabyte iPhone. If we were putting information onto that iPhone at the same rate that you are currently receiving information, the iPhone would be full in less than an hour. And you've been receiving that amount of information every single second of the day since the moment you were born. Some of you, if you've done timeline therapy or mental emotional release, actually have had the experience that you were receiving that much information before you were born. Now, obviously, we wouldn't be able to cope with that huge amount of information. So in that little bubble in the middle of the person's head, we have what we call filters. And this all happens inside of our unconscious mind. It happens outside of consciousness. And what we do is we delete information, we miss bits out, we distort information, we change it, and also we generalize information to make it simpler. If you look in a little bit more detail in the things there, we've got our ideas about time, matter, space, and energy, our beliefs about those, our beliefs, our meta programs, which was our previous Facebook Live series, our emotional state, even our language filters things. When I'm doing a seminar, and and I say to people, who here is bi or multilingual, then I have a lot of people put their hands up to that. And so I said, if you put your hand up to that, is the world a different place depending on what language you think in? And every single person who's bi and multilingual will put their hands up and say, yeah, absolutely, the world is a different place depending on the language that I'm thinking in. So, a lot of people think that language is just a means of communication. But in actual fact, our language structures our experience. So after all of this information has gone through our filters, which are very individual to us, they're our own unique filters, we create our internal representation, which is the pictures, the sounds, the feelings, the smells, the tastes, and the self-talk that we have running in our neurology. Now, the thing that most people don't realize is they believe, they think, that they're actually experiencing the external event. Whereas the way that our neurology is created is the only thing that we can actually experience is actually the internal representation of the external event. And that is totally unique. You know, we probably get, I would have thought, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 views on this Facebook Live. And what that means is, from this particular presupposition of NLP 2.0, there will be 2,000 different versions of this Facebook Live, and none of them will bear any resemblance to the one that Pete and I believe that we're sharing with you tonight. So what does that mean? The majority of people think the problem is outside of them and is therefore unfixable. So, you know, at the moment in the UK, so many people are saying the problem with my business, the problem with my job, the problem with my life at this particular point in time is the uncertainty of Brexit, as in outside of you. For my friends in the US, I hear a lot of people saying to me, the problem with my business, the problem with my career, the problem with my life is Donald Trump. And I can't fix that. I can't change that. I heard somebody say to me recently, basically, I don't know where I will be in a year because I don't know if my business can survive Brexit outside of you. But the problem is never outside. It's inside, fortunately, because with tools like NLP, timeline therapy, mental emotional release, hypnosis, and HUNA, we can change our internal representations. And so what that means is we change our internal representation, and then it changes our state, it changes our behavior, and changes the result. So it means that no matter what is happening outside, you can change the internal representation of that and get the result that you want, which is essentially total empowerment. It puts you at cause. It makes you the creator of your experience. Yeah. So I'm going to put us back to the two of us now. I've explained that, Pete. So then, you know, you can give us your take on that kind of bombshell.
No, I mean, it's absolutely true. I mean, one of the things that I think is absolutely critical for people, especially when they're running a business, is to be able to kind of like get all of the things out of their head and then down onto something external to them. And here's why. It's because people say that the brain is a computer, which it kind of is, but for me, it's one that's got a really good processor, but it's got very, very small RAM. Because if you think about it, you know, you can only hold about 6 or 7 things in your head at any one time. And so because if you actually look, you know, kind of take the model which you had, almost like my model is almost like, because that is definitely true, but it's, for me, when it comes to actually looking at what it is you want to achieve or what you want to do, there are 2 boxes inside your head, because the operating system that runs your head has not been updated for thousands of years. And when it was designed, it said there are going to be 2 boxes inside your head, one of which is things I want to move closer to. This is attractive mates. This is warmth. This is food. There is another box called things I want to move further away from. So this is loud noises. This is anything with more teeth than the entire Osmond family. And then what happens is when you try to think about your tasks, as in everything that you have to do, you know, obviously being a business person, there are lots of different hats that you have to wear, especially when you're starting out. And when you think of your tasks, it's true that of every task you have, it's either going to attract you, so it lives in the I want to move closer to it box, or it lives in the repel you, I want to move further away from that box. And the trouble is, because you've got small RAM, because your conscious brain, I think is like 1,000 or 1,000,000th in terms of the filter that it kind of filters out. So
from a neurological point of view, your conscious mind has access to the frontal lobes, which can
Yeah.
process around about 40 nerve impulses a second, whereas your unconscious mind has access to the rest of your brain, which is capable of processing something like 40 million nerve impulses per second.
Yeah.
So, you've got that whole thing, like we only use 10% of our brain. In fact, everybody is using all of their brain. It's just that we use a minuscule amount of it, not even 10%, consciously.
Absolutely. And so what that basically means is that your ability to, kind of manage what it is you want to do. I'll give you an example. If I gave you a list of 15 words and said, I want you to hold those in your head, and I also want you to put them in alphabetical order, you would find it incredibly difficult to do. You'd find it hard enough to remember all of those, let alone actually then process all of those. And your life is a lot more complicated than putting 15 words into alphabetical order. So if you're trying to manage everything in your head, and when we say in your head, that kind of counts even if it's like, scribbled down on moleskins or, kind of like, just like dotted around the place. Unless there's some sort of central place that you have where you can say, this is all the stuff that I need to do. And now my conscious brain can see it. Because otherwise, all your conscious brain gets to see is what your unconscious mind shows you. And your unconscious mind doesn't want to show you stuff in the box marked, I don't like, because its job is to keep you happy and safe. And all of the stuff in that box belongs in the same boxes as loud noises and monsters. And that's why a lot of people in a lot of businesses go wrong, because what they do is they focus on doing the stuff that they like because they can't see the stuff. It doesn't occur to them because their subconscious says, no, I'm going to give you the nice stuff. There you go. You can have that and do that. And the thing which they might not like, but which is still massively important, they're blind to. And so you have to be able to get it out. And then that way your conscious brain goes, right, okay, show me the full list, please, because I'm going to decide what is actually important, what is not. And then that way you can basically chunk it through. So, and as we said, it's all about chunking it down. And then working out how you're going to live from one day to the next. And you have to do that external to your head. Because as you say, if you leave it to, kind of the stuff inside here, you're only going to get a tiny fraction of what it is.
Yep, absolutely. So there's our first three presuppositions of NLP 2.0. I hope that was valuable for you. And you might remember when we were talking about presupposition number 2, there is only now. Pete mentioned the golden ladder. Yeah. And we were having a chat before we started doing this particular Facebook Live. And so what we've decided for you is where Pete and I are going to do a webinar for you specifically about, and this is going to put these presuppositions of NLP 2.0 in action for you. Yeah. In action for you in your life in general, and also in your business or career in general. So we're going to do a webinar for you, free webinar, on the golden ladder. So join us for that. There's a link in the text that accompanies this video, which will enable you to register for that webinar when it goes out in next week on Tuesday. Yeah, so register now. And then on Tuesday, when that webinar goes live, you'll get an invite. You'll be able to get straight inside and start actually putting these presuppositions of NLP 2.0 into action through the process, if you like, of the golden ladder. Very exciting stuff.
It is. I mean, the golden ladder is something I'm massively passionate about, because the thing is, it doesn't matter whether it's something in your life that you want to achieve or something in your business that you want to achieve. For me, kind of life and business, it's all about just literally how you make things happen. And the golden ladder is, it's the key reason why people succeed, and it's also the key reason why people fail. And if we can help you succeed by getting to understand that ladder and making sure that your vision reaches the ground, that's going to be really, really powerful for you, because I've seen it unlock so many people and allow them to access and pursue and achieve their vision. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll be here again next Thursday, 7 p.m. UK time, for our next 3 presuppositions of NLP 2.0. Until then, have a fantastic week, and Pete and I will see you again, same time, same channel.
Looking forward to seeing you.